Yeah, my guys, double H here, back again, bada bing, bada boom. All right, um, the fighter, the fighter. Yeah, people have been talking a lot about, obviously, Bill's performance in this film. It's the best boxing film since Rocky, Cheers, Raging Bull. What's that? Um, people have been saying a lot about this flick. So yeah, I watched the film, and you know what? I fully recommend everyone's watch this film. It's a good film, without a doubt. It's a good film. You know, I'm not even going to front, like it is a good film. You know, and it's for me. I think the best thing about this film was the story. Obviously, it's based on a true story, but I think just the plot of the film, the story, it's just such an interesting story. Obviously, you have this guy, um, Dickie Eklund, who was a boxer who allegedly knocked down, um, what's it called, Sugar Ray Leonard, and afterwards, the people say, wow, 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 he was the what's it called, hero of Lowell, Massachusetts. That's blah blah. But then he then went into drugs, hardcore drugs, and obviously, like his half brother began to now his half brother Mickey Ward started to now fall into his footsteps, and I had the whole thing of like Dickie Eklund, this massive drug guy who obviously went to jail, life messed up, and now turned his life around and started to now train his brother, you know, um, as well, and obviously he has to have the whole thing of his mother in there. But I think the interesting about this thing is just like really the character of Dickie Eklund and just the whole interaction between him and his half brother and how close they are there, and the whole boxing thing. I just thought it's just very interesting, and the kind of life that these people lead and the families they have, it was just very interesting, and I think that the film as a film, I think like basically, the first half of the film I thought was, it was interesting. Obviously at the beginning when you see Bill, you're like, oh, watching like, man, what the heck is it? Is this character? When you just see him walking through and everything, like the first half of the film, okay, it's interesting. You learn about, this is Mickey Ward, Marky, learn, about obviously the mother played by Melissa Leo. You obviously have, I think it's Amy Adams or something like that. The girlfriend of the Mickey Ward character. So you just you're introduced to this place in Massachusetts, in Boston, that seems very much like a ghetto, seems very much very gritty, very high grade, very blue collar, very down and gritty to the earth. And you obviously see the addiction side, the drug addiction side to this thing, which is obviously told through the eyes of Dickie Eklund. And also there's obviously that very famous documentary that was actually a real documentary that was done focusing on Dickie Eklund, obviously his drug friends, and the addiction to drugs, and it was actually aired on television, So yeah, I thought that the first half of it, that was really really interesting, But I thought that um, as the movie went on, obviously there was a good character interaction, but I thought that it sort of lost its realness to begin with, and it became sort of like cheesy towards the end. And for me, I felt that the end fight, was a bit of like an anticlimax. It was just a bit of, and I just didn't. At the end when everything happened and came together, I just felt like, okay, cheers. It didn't really feel like, oof. Um, it just, I wasn't really fulfilled by the end of it. But again, I thought that, look, man, everybody did well in this film, and I think that, what's it called, David or Russell, that's a crazy guy who had that massive rant on I Heart Huckabees, he brought the film together well, I felt that the way he depicted the Boston area was very good. I really felt, what this place seemed like, the surroundings, and I think that, this is obviously an ensemble piece. This isn't really like, Rocky, which is really focused early on him. This is pretty much, you need to really show them sisters. You need to show Mickey Ward. You need to show Dickie Eklund. You need to show their mother. You need to show all the trainers. So they need to show and you need to show Boston, and there's a lot of stuff that he had to really juggle. And I felt that he juggled everything pretty well. And I felt that it was paced well. The pacing was well for most of it, and I felt I felt really into it. And yeah, the script, everything was tight again. For me, I felt the story, these characters, were the things that really interested me the most. And let's talk about really the performances, because I think in this kind of films, you always, especially if it's a boxing film, you have to compare it to Rocky, and you've got to compare it to Raging Bull. For me, I believe that Rocky, I think, as a film, as a sports film, I think it may never actually be beaten. I just think that it just hit that nail on the head that I don't think any film can ever hit again, because we're just sort of like all the stars aligned to it. That's why it's such a special film. And I don't think that there will be any others. And well, who knows, there might be, but since Raging Bull, no sports film has reached that directorial standard that Scorsese set for Raging Bull. I mean, the direction of those boxing scenes was just absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely incredible, and how it just made it feel the tension. And when you just even hear about how he put like fire below the camera to let smoke come through, so it makes you feel like you were in a furnace. Was just ingenious. And I think that's really, the fight compared to Raging Bull and Rocky falls way off. Way off. And I think that there was a potential of the fighter to really hold its own against Raging Bull and Rocky, just because of the strength of the story. Because I felt that you have a really good story, and from watching the film, I felt that more could have been. I think really the film could have been, first of all, could have been maybe a bit longer. And I think that the first third of the film should really have been focused fully on Dickie Eklund and just who this character was, what he was as a boxer, and his descent into drugs. And then you then bring in the Mickey Ward character, but really from that first third, you're really building up of how Mickey Ward is trying to emulate his brother and how much he looks up to him. And then afterwards, you have to now see this transition of Mickey Ward having to come into his own, having to now do his own thing and really take his own chance, and not just live in the shadow of his brother, and just have that role that his mother has set up for him to be below Dickie Eklund, the guy who knocked down Sonny. Sorry, that's not knocked down Sugar Ray. So yeah, but I just felt that it's. I didn't really get to know the kind of. I didn't really feel much of the story arc of Dickie Eklund, and it just seemed like this was a very crazy, weird character, blah blah blah. It's really out there, but I didn't really get to know about him, and I did not really feel the chemistry. The chemistry was not really developed well enough between the Bill's character and Marky Mark's character, And let's talk about Marky Mark. Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. See, Marky Mark, first of all, I don't care what anyone says, I will still say this again, who the hell is Marky Mark? Because, it just seems like yesterday, this guy is now producing stuff, he's in films everywhere, and he's doing this, blah, blah, blah. Marky Mark can't act, okay? He's not exactly rubbish. Yes, he can do some stuff, he can do some things, but Marky Mark can't act, and Marky Mark had no business really being in this film, And again, my man that I always champion, man, is like, if you put someone like Joaquin Phoenix in this role, the film is like 10 times better, because the Dickie Eklund character is as important as the Mickey Ward character, and the mother character is also as important as those two. Those three characters are extremely crucial, and I think those three characters are the key to really what would have made this film a really special film. Is the relationship between these three characters. For me, Melissa Leo was amazing, and I thought she was really the best actor in this film. Again, she's from Homicide: Life in the Streets, so that's where I know her from. But the way she just played the character, I felt like, yeah, man, I know her. Yes, I know she's playing this character right, and she didn't really, she did it just enough, and she didn't really overdo it. I just felt like, yeah, man, I understand what this mother's about. I understand how this mother is about in relation to her kids and what she wants for her kids and what she wants for this family, and her role within this family. Melissa Leo just played that right, and I really felt that. Let's talk about Bill. Let's talk about Bill. Let's talk about Bill. You see, for me, Bill is a great talent, and he'll always be a great talent, and he'll always have great potential. And Bill is always a guy that he has the X factor, and he is just cut from a different branch from most guys his age, because you see, I think it was after Begins, I was thinking that, and then there was this film called Hashtag. I think that, man, this is now where Bill can really show that, man, he really is the main actor for now. That he really is the thing for now. And when I saw, what's it called? I mean, when I saw Harsh Times, I was like, it's good. Again, it's good. He can't be rubbish or anything. He's always be good, but it's just Bill being Bill. It's just Bill being Bill. So it's like, I just felt, okay, it's still good, but I felt that he'd really mature as an actor in a film like that. And then it came to TDK, which I thought that he pretty much flopped him and dropped the ball acting wise in that film. And Salvation was a complete mess. I think that's it's tough between which his worst performance really is between TDK and Salvation, but I think in Salvation he was really especially bad. I mean, for me, I'd argue that probably Salvation is probably his worst performance, because in Salvation he was pretty bad. I mean, I've never seen acting so overdone before as I did in Salvation. It wasn't good. It really wasn't good, And then it brings us to the fighter. You see, when you're playing other characters that lived, you're always going to be put up against who those characters are. And with the internet, with the video footage, people can see how these characters really act. I've seen footage of Dickie Eklund. I've seen him talk. That isn't what Bill did. Because at the beginning, you felt like, okay, Bill, he got the accents well, he got the mannerisms well. The mannerisms were there and everything, but again, as people have been commenting on forums, I unfortunately have to agree. It seemed he was acting for an Oscar. It seemed like it was like, here, man, look, man, please give me an award. It just seemed overdone and too much and a bit too contrived. And again, from halfway through, I could, because I know Bill's accent so well and I know how he talks so well and the kind of lisp he has, his accent began to really come through in the role, and it took me out of the film. Then I just knew that, okay, this is a guy that's acting here. I'm not feeling that I'm watching the character of Dickie Eklund here. I'm just watching Bill act. I'll give you an example. Truman Capote, Seymour Hoffman. I believe that's one of the greatest acting performances I've actually ever seen, and it is possibly one of the most underrated acting performances of all time. Anybody who hasn't seen it to watch that film. That is how you play a true character. I've just been on YouTube and I've just watched footage of Truman Capote. It's exactly the same. There is no difference. And when you see Seymour Hoffman act, it's not overdone. He's not trying to shove it in. He's just playing that character. And 15. Okay, at the beginning, I think that, oh wow, man, this guy's weird. A really crazy accent. But halfway through, you forget that a guy's acting. You just say, okay, this is just this guy. This is just this Capote guy that's just there, and you can fully get it in the film. Another example. What's it called? Again, another very criminally underrated performance. Gary Oldman in JFK. There's footage there of Lee Harvey Oswald. I remember when I even saw that film, and before I really knew about Gary Oldman, I just thought, they probably just got like a guy who looks and talks like Lee Harvey Oswald and just shoved him in the film. This is probably the only film that he'll ever do in his life. And then I found out, damn it, this is Gary Oldman. It's that same guy from Air Force One and what's it called? And Dracula, and Leon. So I was like, wow, that's amazing, because again, he just played the character. So you didn't having oh, this is a guy acting, just so that he fully 100% got that character right down to his expressions, the way he talked, the way he moved, and his whole aura. It was completely amazing. And that is how you play a realistic character. It can't be overdone, it can't be underdone, it just has to be just right. And I just felt that, Bill, he definitely got aspects of the Dickie Eklund character, but again, they showed him at the end of the film, and I've seen him talk. Bill didn't really get him, because yes, Dickie Eklund is wild, blah, like that, but even when you saw him get interviewed, especially when you saw him get interviewed in that documentary, Bill didn't really get that, Bill didn't really get that. He's not always crazy. There is still some kind of there was still some subtlety and some solemnness to him when he was talking about his drugs, but when he knocked down Sugar Ray, he wasn't just being mad, So I just felt like Bill didn't really get the different levels of the Dickie Eklund character, So I think again for me, should he win the Oscar? I don't know, because I'm still yet to watch King's Speech and see what Jeffrey Rush put down in that film. I felt that Bill, he deserved the Oscar for Equilibrium and American Psycho. For me, those are two great acting performances in those two films. So this day, I still feel like the best acting performances in Equilibrium, Sumi, Azumi. I don't care. It is, but that's the thing for me. I just feel like watch JFK and watch what Gary Oldman did in JFK, and then watch what Tim Hoffman did in Capote, and then compare what Bill did. But yeah, as a film man, watching this film, I begin to really appreciate just what an amazing thing that Stallone did, because this guy, yes, it was inspired by the Muhammad Ali fight, but he pretty much came up with this thing by himself. It was that whole Rocky thing of the character. I mean, the Paulie character, the Mickey character, this were all from his head. It wasn't from true characters. This were all from his head, and it was so real. And for me, the characters in Rocky just felt much richer, much better, much more believable than the characters in this film. I just felt like if the characters in this film, they were good, but they were still acting. Makemaka is just Makemaka. Yes, he had some right scenes, and he's probably better in this than a lot of the other films I've seen him in, but it's still Makemaka and the Funky Bunch. But everybody was good. Again, the Amy Adams, she was good, but I just didn't get that vibe that I got from Rocky. And again, for me, dramatically, I was more drawn to Rocky and Raging Bull, and I think that the fight is some way off from the benchmark that Raging Bull and Rocky set. But again, for me, it's a film I would definitely recommend. I mean, I would definitely recommend this film. It's definitely one of the best films that have been released from last year or this year, and it's a fun film to watch. If you've got nothing else to do, I mean, it's a fun film to watch, and I will be very surprised if you watch it and people don't like it or regret that they went to watch it. Because I'm very happy I went to and watched the film. It was a good film, and it was a very interesting story. It could have been better. It wasn't perfect. It could have been better, and I think it had the potential to be a really memorable story, a really memorable boxing film that was more than just a boxing film. That I felt this film could have really talked about, drug addiction, drugs, and I think that this film could have really balanced the two between boxing and drugs, and obviously the Boston area and the people of those Boston area, and it could have been a really, really, different sports film. But again, for what it is, it's still good. Pretty big. Pretty boom.